Hi, I'm Dr. Dave Janda. Welcome back to Operation Freedom Briefings. The goal of these briefings and my weekly radio show, Operation Freedom, is to provide you information you're not going to get, see, hear, read, or experience through the bought-off lamestream fake media. You can join me live every Sunday. The show is free. All you have to do is go to davejanda.com, hit the upper right-hand corner, hit the listen button, and stream our show. We present great guests, great information, and great analysis. You can also join us on Wham Talk 1600 24/7. You can go to whamradio.com and stream all of our content free. Or you can go to davejanda.com. We have the link right to Wham's site by hitting the listen button. If you haven't had an opportunity to listen to the interview that I conducted in our subscription platform at davejanda.com recently with Mary Fanning and Alan Jones on the port security crisis that I uploaded yesterday, Monday, July 29th, you need to do so. I guarantee the bought-off lamestream fake media controlled by the deep state will never touch or present that well-researched, well-sourced information from Mary Fanning and Alan Jones, two fantastic investigative journalists. So it's right here on the platform. Go to it. I believe it's about a 14-minute video. We put that on this platform at the request of our subscribers. If it was not for our subscribers, this YouTube channel, the radio show, the davejanda.com would not exist. So we do hope you become part of our subscription freedom family. $9 a month. Sign up for it for a month. If you don't like it, get rid of it. I'm not sure why you would, because the information you get, you're not going to see, hear, read in the bought-off lamestream fake media. Now, I want today's title of the presentation is President Trump and the Deep State's Mueller time. Not Miller time, like the ad campaign for the beer company, but Mueller time. I want to take you back 2 years, because 2 years ago, I got tremendous grief over the position I took based on information from my sources. And apparently, now, what I said 2 years ago is being misrepresented yet somewhere else. So let's stick with facts, not rumors, not falsifications, not innuendo. Let's stick with facts. Couple things. Let's go back 2 years. At the time when Mueller was appointed, there was tremendous consternation, hand-wringing, whoa, it's all over. Mueller is deep state. Yeah. Mueller is deep state, tentacles everywhere. He is going to take down the president. President Trump is done. My sources at the time came in with the following information and analysis. Number one, Mueller, black hat, long history. In fact, through my sources, we presented information that in 2009, during the Obama administration, Robert Mueller, and some people say you should call him Mueller. No, I call him Mueller because he was a mule for the deep state. In 2009, he took a private plane to Russia, brought them a uranium sample that was supposedly confiscated in some sting operation. BS. My sources said that this was sample material from the Uranium One deal. They stand behind that. Robert Mueller, tremendous ties to the deep state. Black hat. In fact, I want to take you back. On May 18, 2017, and I have quoted this information a number of times over the past couple years. It was from Colleen Rowley, a retired FBI special agent and division legal counsel, who in May 2002 sent a memo to then FBI Director Robert Mueller exposing some of the FBI's pre-9/11 failures. This is what she said in May of 2017 that we've been discussing for the past several years on my platform. This is what she said about Comey and Mueller. Neither Comey nor Mueller, who are reported to be, quote, joined at the hip, end quote, deserve their current lionization among politicians and mainstream media. Instead of Jimmy Stewart-like G-men with reputations for principled integrity, the two close confidants and collaborators merely proved themselves, along with former CIA Director George Tenet, reliably politicized sycophants, enmeshing themselves in a series of wrongful abuses of power along with official incompetence. Mueller was chosen as special counsel not because he has integrity, but because he will do what the powerful want him to do. Mueller didn't speak the truth about a war he knew to be unjustified. He didn't speak against torture. He didn't speak out against unconstitutional surveillance. And he didn't tell the truth about 9/11. He is just, quote, their man, end quote. Colleen Rowley, formerly of the FBI. Now, we presented that information. Mueller for the deep state in the Uranium One deal, and also involved in numerous other deep state activities over the decades. Many people said President Trump is done. He's going to get impeached. He's going to have to resign is a dismal failure because of Mueller being put in this position. My sources said, no. Here's what they said 2 years ago. Quote, Mueller will not indict President Trump. End quote. Now, unless something has changed since the taping of this and when it is aired, my sources were correct 2 years ago when a huge number of people said he was going to be indicted. And when I came out with that 2 years ago, I was denigrated. I was told that I was a zealot for Trump, that my sources were zealots for Trump, that it was a slam dunk, 100% assurance that the president was done, that Mueller would take him out. And my sources said no. They said Mueller is going to play both sides of this, the deep state side and the Freedom Front side, led by Trump. He's going to try to play both sides against the middle. He will end up, this is what they said 2 years ago, be discredited. And they said his primary goal, Mueller, is to extricate himself from much of the criminal and illegal activities he had been involved with decades before. And their bottom line was, quote, President Trump will not be indicted, end quote. Now here's what they said. Dave, you need to focus on the meeting Robert Mueller had for at least 4 hours with President Trump the day before he was named special counsel. They told me not to forget that and to focus on it. And here's what else they said. Quote, do you believe it possible that Mueller, at that meeting, was presented with knowledge of Mueller's past deep state acts and activities? End quote. I was told, if you think that's a possibility, Dave, or even probability, could it be that Robert Mueller did not flip from being a black hat to a white hat? I never said that. My sources never said that. What they said was, do you think that being confronted with that information could well have negated some of his directives from the deep state and made him actually a gray hat where he will play it down the middle, play both sides? But ultimately, they told me, no indictment, and Mueller at the end would be discredited. And part of him being discredited would remove him from the focus. Does that sound familiar? Well, that brings me to Wednesday, July 24th. A couple interesting things. Prior to Mueller's testimony, I was watching Fox. Judge Napolitano, who needless to say, about 2 years ago, I think strayed way off the Freedom Reservation. And here's a direct quote from Judge Napolitano. What you're going to see, Robert Mueller, this is the 89th or 90th time he's testified in front of Congress, and he's always been on his game and brilliant. And when he starts speaking and during his testimony, you will realize that, quote, Robert Mueller is the smartest guy in the room, end quote. Now, that's not saying much when you got a bunch of Congress critters around, for the most part. There are some really smart guys in there that proved themselves, actually, during that hearing. But that's what Napolitano said. It became very obvious to me at the beginning that there was some rehearsed testimony going on because as Nadler, deep state player that he is, was presenting the introduction on Mueller and then started to ask him questions, Mueller started to respond with an answer before some of those questions were even finished. What does that show? I believe a coached witness. And as the minutes ticked on, let alone day, it became very obvious that Robert Mueller was lost, confused, dazed, deer in the headlights at times. Other times he was really on. And as a physician of 32 years, using my clinical skills, something was not adding up with his presentation. There were some brilliant aspects of questions asked and directed at him by, and we should give them kudos, Congressman Doug Collins from Georgia, Louis Gohmert, Jim Jordan, in the afternoon session, Devin Nunes, Matt Gaetz in the morning, and in particular, and we're going to get back to him in a minute, John Radcliffe. John Radcliffe, I believe, was the star of the show that day. Doug Collins, in the first 15 minutes, caught Mueller in a perjury trap. But Mueller's testimony played it, if you watch it again, as a gray hat. He gave to both sides. And in addition, his presentation reminded me of something I learned about as I was growing up in the suburbs of Chicago. I grew up on the Southwest Side, in the suburbs, but my family was based on the South Side of Chicago. Spent a lot of time down there. And part of my family was also based in Cicero. The most famous inhabitant of Cicero, when my family was based there, was Al Capone, many decades ago. There's a South Side saying in Chicago that when criminals get in trouble, they will always revert to something called the Sicilian flu. Now, I'm not taking a shot at Italians or Sicilians. It's just a saying. Okay? But on the south side of Chicago, the Sicilian flu is that when individuals would get caught and they would go to trial, one of the most effective ways of being able to leave the courthouse under their own volition was to, if you will, be confused during their testimony, disoriented, lost, puzzled, dazed, unsure of themselves, asking repetitively for questions to be repeated. Sound familiar? You see, there were parts of Robert Mueller's testimony where he actually even made a couple quick quips. Many people are saying that Robert Mueller is demented. Well, I've been a practicing physician for 32 years. I can't make that determination. I'm not sure how these other armchair docs can do it without ever having gone to medical school or internship or residency or fellowship or practicing medicine for 32 years. You see, I saw a guy who was trying to extricate himself from the focus. And what happened? What happened? During the testimony, Robert Mueller identified that the whole thing the whole investigation was a sham. That was under the questioning of Ratcliffe. And his presentation style led to afterwards people saying, you know what? This guy, he obviously really wasn't involved in the process. The Sicilian flu. We need to investigate the investigators. Good. We should. Should have done that long before now. So let's turn to Ratcliffe, because I believe he was the star of the show. Everybody, Napolitano, Mueller's going to be star. Nope. Ratcliffe. Let me take you through it. From Katie Pavlich. Congressman Ratcliffe rips Mueller for making up a bogus standard of guilt for the president. Yeah, the whole thing was a sham. Republican Congressman John Ratcliffe didn't waste any time with his brief 5-minute questioning period. He ripped Mueller for making up a standard of guilt only applicable to President Trump. Quote, now you report and say you said that. All times the special counsel operated under was guided by and followed Justice Department policies and principles. So which Department of Justice policy, this is Ratcliffe, or principle sets forth the legal standard that an investigated person is not exonerated if their innocence in criminal conduct is not conclusively determined, end quote, Ratcliffe asked. He went on, where does that language come from, Director? Where is the Department of Justice policy that says that? Let me make it easier. Can you give me an example other than Donald Trump where the Justice Department determined that an investigated person was not exonerated because their innocence was not conclusively determined? Question. And what was Mueller's response? Time to start the Sicilian flu. Quote, I cannot. But this is a unique situation, end quote. So you can't. This is Ratcliffe. Time is short. Let's just leave it as you can't find it because I'll tell you why. It doesn't exist. The special counsel's job, nowhere does it say that you were to conclusively determine Donald Trump's innocence or that the special counsel's report should determine whether or not to exonerate him. It's not in any of the documents. It's not in your appointment order. It's not in the special counsel regulations. It's not in the Office of Legal Counsel opinions. It's not in the Justice Manual. It's not in the Principles of Federal Prosecution. Nowhere do those words appear together because respectfully, Director, it was not the special counsel's job to conclusively determine Donald Trump's innocence or to exonerate him. Because the bedrock principle of our justice system is a presumption of innocence. It exists for everyone. Everyone is entitled to it, including sitting presidents. And because there is a presumption of innocence, prosecutors never, ever need to conclusively determine it, end quote. In other words, Mueller admitted it was all a sham. A black hat who, as my sources said 2 years prior, had a meeting with Donald Trump, did not become a white hat, but became a gray hat and would, quote, not indict President Trump, end quote. And what did he do in that testimony with Ratcliffe? Oh, yeah. Well, you know what? This whole thing's a sham because you're right. We're not presuming innocent. I mean, even as prosecutors, our job is not to determine somebody innocent or guilty. That's a judge or a jury. And surely we're not there to exonerate because you're right. It doesn't exist. Right. In other words, the whole thing is a sham. John Radcliffe. This from the Washington Examiner. Daniel Chaitin, Jerry Dunleavy. John Radcliffe, AG William Barr will deliver justice to any Obama officials who committed crimes. Remember, Mueller needed, goal of the hearing, move himself out of the focus. A top Republican investigator said accountability is coming for any and those individuals who may have committed crimes against the Trump-Russia investigation. With the Justice Department conducting a review of that operation, Representative John Radcliffe said that he trusts Attorney General William Barr and Justice Department Inspector General Michael Horowitz to provide answers. He stressed that it is clear crimes were committed by people during the Obama administration, including government officials. Where have you heard that before? What I do know as a former federal prosecutor is that it does appear that there were crimes committed during the Obama administration. This is Radcliffe. Radcliffe, a Texas Republican on the House Judiciary and Intelligence Committee who was critical of Special Counsel Robert Mueller during his testimony in front of those committees this past Wednesday, is Trump's pick now to replace power move outgoing Director of National Intelligence Dan Coats. Although many of the GOP lines of questioning last week focused on the origins of the investigation, Mueller largely shut them down, often saying these were issues that were outside my purview. That is key. That by Mueller saying that, he extricated himself and put all these little deep state dweebs that were working with him right under the electron microscope. Watch. Radcliffe explained, because of Mueller's responses, Sicilian flu. Radcliffe explained, this is why Barr, who has tasked U.S. Attorney John Durham to lead the so-called investigation of the investigators, must fill in the gaps. Quote, now the things that Bob Mueller said he didn't know about, Sicilian flu, and his team clearly didn't look at, those are things that would be fair for Bill Barr and the Department of Justice to look at, because we know that things happened in the Obama administration that haven't been answered. There's no accountability for that yet, Radcliffe said. He went on. The American people want the accountability. Their faith and trust has been shaken in our Justice Department, and that the only way to get that back is for there to be real accountability with a very fair process. Again, I have supreme confidence in Bill Barr's ability to deliver that. And at the end of the day, wherever the outcome may be, as long as we know that the process was fair, the evaluation was fair, the justice will be done. Look, the truth always defends itself. Relevant to the Barr-Durham review is Horowitz's Inspector General investigation into alleged government surveillance abuses against at least one advisor for Trump's campaign, Carter Page, an American citizen who was never charged with wrongdoing. Barr has said he is working closely with Horowitz, who is expected to wrap up his inquiry, and the Justice Department could take prosecutorial action depending on the findings and recommendations. I go back 2 years ago. What did my sources say? President Trump would not be indicted. That at the end, Mueller would be discredited. And that he would attempt to play both sides against the middle to try to extricate himself. Well, they were right. In spite, 2 years ago, of people denigrating me and the sources as being Trump zealots, and that we were just creating hopium that he was going to be indicted. And now that reportedly there are people saying, "Oh yeah, you said that you said that Trump was working with Mueller." Though we never said Mueller was a white hat. What we said, and what my sources came forward saying, is that no, Mueller's not going to indict Trump, and he's going to try to extricate himself. And in the process, he's going to be discredited. But discredit is what he wants because it'll shift the focus. And that's exactly what happened. I hope you'll join me on my radio show Operation Freedom every Sunday, 2 to 5 Eastern. Stream it live, free, davejanda.com, listen button. I hope you'll join me at davejanda.com. Free side, public side, upload information on a regular basis, also the subscription side. Become a member of our Freedom family. I believe it's one of the biggest bangs for the buck in all the internet. Best guess, best analysis, best information. Thank you for your time. Until next time, Dave Janda signing off. Dream big and dare to fail.